Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is your boy Mythic, and we have a special guest on the channel today. We're going to be talking about all the crazy trade rumors. The Arizona Cardinals are actually linked to a few of these guys, so it's kind of interesting. We're going to be dabbling into that. But shout out to Mike today for hopping on the channel, man. How have you been, and are you ready to discuss some trades?
Absolutely, man. Yeah, it's dead season right now for Arizona Cardinal fans right now. So anytime to jump on and talk about some sort of hype or expectation or just something, I love to hop on here and chop it up with you. So I'm super excited about it. And we got a long way from football season, but yeah, I'm ready to go, man.
It's a long way, especially for Cardinals fans right now. There's like no optimism. Everything's kind of dead right now. We
Yeah,
understand that the content might not be flowing at a usual rate.
yeah.
There's nothing to talk about right now, but there are some interesting things going on. Myles Garrett, just a couple days ago, I believe 2 days ago, if I am not mistaken, released an official statement requesting a trade from the Cleveland Browns. Now, the Arizona Cardinals catapulted in the odds in that. I don't know if you saw that, but we were like plus 2,400. And as soon as he requested that, plus 1,000. We're like ranked eighth right now as it stands. We are a very desirable destination, in my opinion. Arizona, fantastic weather. We just doubled our win total. The staff seems to be putting it together. Do you think Myles Garrett's a realistic option? He is 29 years old currently. A lot of people were shocked by that. Does that affect anything? Would you still be willing to throw some nice draft assets, like a first and a third? What would you? I'll form this. What would you be willing to give up for him? How do you feel about his age, and do you think it is a realistic destination?
So let's talk about the age real quick. 29 years old. I'm not really too worried about it. There's some players that it, they are going to they kind of age with like fine wine type of thing. And I feel like Myles Garrett is one of those guys. Now, obviously, we're not talking about like when he's 33 or 34 years old, but he's 29, most likely going to be 30 when it comes down to the 2025 season. I'm not worried about it. We're talking about a guy that's been productive since his rookie year till now. I think he takes care of his body. I think he's definitely a great piece for anybody who lands a Myles Garrett, and it'd be a huge upgrade for anybody's defensive line. Now, obviously, because the reason why we're talking about it is because we've lacked defensive line pressure for the last 2 years, and some might say since Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rallis and his whole coaching staff took over, we really haven't had that big X factor on the defensive line. So I'm not really too worried about his age. What would I do to give up a Myles Garrett? Definitely a first round pick somewhere in the 2025 season. You got to give up that first round pick if this is a guy that you want to go after. Now, this draft class is probably one of the best drafts for defensive linemen. That's interior as well as the edge as well. So yes, you can play the game of, maybe we can draft somebody here in the 16th overall, whether it's Michael or whether it's going to be what are those, Nick Scorton, or anybody that you might like, either Mike Green, right? Anybody like that. So a couple different options the Arizona Cardinals can go with, but adding a Myles Garrett, that's a proven guy. Like that, you're giving him a first round pick. If obviously there's going to be some more, I'm just saying a first round pick and maybe I'm just gonna throw something out. Maybe a third round pick this year as well. So it'd be a first and a third, and maybe a second next year, or maybe another third next year is probably something that I would be comfortable myself if I was Monty Awesome for it, to do something like that. I don't want to give up the farm per se. Like it won't be two first round picks or three, and that's what they're looking for. I feel like the Cardinals wouldn't be in the realm to get that, because I'm not giving up two first round picks. Like I feel like the Cardinals are in a good position to add key pieces in this draft, but it really depends on what Cleveland wants. But kind of what we were saying is this is just a huge move, man. We're talking about any team. Whoever gets Myles Garrett is going to be upgraded up to yin yang. And the Cardinals need an X factor. They need a closer. They need a guy that's going to be able to win you a game in the fourth quarter when it's 2 minutes down, or having them stop their drive when it's, before we're hitting the half. We need a guy like that. We just don't have it. We're hoping that B.J. Ojolari can be the guy. We're hoping that Darius Robinson can be the guy. There's just a lot of unknowns right now with this defensive line. I know we got Bilal Nichols. I know we got Justin Jones, but even then, unknown, right? So it would be cool and huge in a big swing, for the Cardinal fans to have some chatter. Because you're right, man. You called it earlier. Like, there's nothing for us to be excited about. There was some coaching changes, but other than that, like that's been it, man. It's kind of dead season. We have a portion of Cardinal fans don't even care about 2025 because of either the quarterback, or they don't care about the coaching staff. Like we need something. We need something that's going to give us some sort of oomph heading into 2025, and this would be that oomph. It's just, will the Cardinals do it? I don't know.
It's the question that we really need answered is, will Monty Ossenfort pull the trigger? It doesn't seem like a move that he would necessarily
Right.
make based on how he's built this team currently, but the way he had to build the team was through the draft. He didn't really have
Yeah.
a choice. He gutted it. He had to go young. You have to build with direction, and you have to build in the trenches this year. I think that is the biggest thing. That's how you win championships. That's how you win Super Bowls, is building the offensive line, building the front seven. If you can have a good front seven with a good offensive line, you're going to be in a great position. Look at what Kansas City's been doing. That front seven has been ridiculous. Nick Bolton in the linebacker core, just absolutely ridiculous. They have Tranquil. They have a lot of guys that have just come in and have stepped up. And then obviously they've retained Chris Jones through the entire dynasty so far. That has been monumental for their success. We don't have a Chris Jones. We
Yeah.
don't have a Nick Bolton. We don't have anybody where it's like, hey, that guy is a star in the front seven. He's commanding double teams every other play. We have to lock in on this guy right now. Nick Rallis has to get super creative. He
Yeah.
deserves a pay raise. I think we can both agree. That man has been stressing his butt off. I
Yeah.
guarantee it. Like,
Yeah.
there's
No,
no
absolutely.
way.
Sorry. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, you're all good. He needs somebody. He needs someone who could command a double team. He needs someone who is actually an X factor. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Chandler Jones was 29 years old or 28 when he came here. And look at the production he gave us. I think we're chilling. Myles Garrett is way better than Chandler Jones ever was, and Chandler Jones was a fantastic football player. You go get a guy who's in constant decoy discussions, you're going to elevate this team insanely, and a lot of people are going to want to come play for this defense. It's that simple, and we have the money to build a competent team. I think we got to pull the trigger, or at least we have to offer and be in the running, because Kyler Murray and Myles Garrett do have a good relationship. They played at Texas Tech in 2015, have remained pretty close, if I'm not mistaken. So I think the move is possible. It's just, is Monty Ossenfort going to align the timeline and going and getting a 29-year-old? That's like the biggest question.
Yeah. So going back to the Nick Rallis thing, I mean, yeah, dude, you're right. Now I'm looking at Chandler Jones's age. I think he was actually 26, if I'm not mistaken, 26 or
He's
27.
26.
Yeah, just because we got him in 20. He was born in 90, and I'm just Googled it, and he was born. We got him in 16. So I believe he was like 26, 27. So he was a little younger, but I still agree with you. I still do
Okay,
think
so
that
he was
Myles
like
Garrett is better.
27, 26.
Yeah, I still think
Yeah,
he's
Myles
better.
Garrett was better.
And what you were saying about Nick Rallis is 100% correct, man. With what they did with this defense, and let's call it like it is. I get it. There's a lot of people that are like, "Oh, this defense was so bad," but like, who are the players on this freaking roster? There's going to be a big turnover, or at least I hope there's going to be a big turnover, because we need key pieces, man. We need people on this, defense that is going to, provide a stop. Like, ask anybody outside this organization or fan base who is a part of the Arizona Cardinals defense. You're probably going to get one answer. Buda Baker. That's it. That's it. We know, because obviously we cover this team, and we're diehard Cardinal fans, so we know. But like, anybody outside, or even the casual Cardinal fan, they probably couldn't even name 4 or 5 starters on this defense, because why? You could throw a dart on the freaking Chiefs, defense, and that's a stud that they got over there. They built that defense so darn well. And then Karlaftis, they got a late round pick in
Oh,
him, and
yeah.
he's a beast. Like, the Cardinals need to focus on that. So to me, going back to, is this a Monty Ossenfort move? I mean, he's got to, I don't know, man. Sometimes we got to have to pull the trigger, right? Sometimes you got to make a move like that. Sometimes you got to go out of your comfort zone and do something like that to make a big splash play, because I like what he's doing so far. I'm not gonna, I like it. There's a couple picks that I'm like, hey, I'd rather do this over this, but still, right? I like the players that we brought in, but you need to do something. You can't just focus on one thing. In order for you to be a good or great GM, you have to be able to do all three. Like, you don't have to A+ all three, but you have to be able to do all three. Right now, what I really like about Monty is his drafting, but free agency has been meh. Trading has been meh. So I want to see a little bit more from Monty, and this is going to be where I'm really going to start like, okay, man, show me a little bit more, Monty. Let's see if you can truly cook.
This is where it really picks up. This is year 3. We doubled the wins. We have the promise. We have some expectations going into next year. Expectations are playoffs.
Yeah.
We know what this roster is capable of. We know the talent we have. We have big-time players like Kyler, James Conner, Marvin Harrison, Trey McBride, Paris Johnson Jr. on the offensive side of the ball. That is 5 pieces that are stars, in my opinion. Then you flip it to the defense. You don't really have much. You got Buda Baker. You have Garrett Williams. That's about it in terms of star players. You have nobody else who's a transcendent football player. Like Mack Wilson was really productive last season. He shined a lot. Now he's getting elevated into the starting inside linebacker role, it looks like, because Kazir White's going to be gone. So I don't know how that's going to look, but Mack Wilson did play really good football for us. So hopefully that continues in 2025. We need to see what Darius Robinson has. Fully healthy, coming off that calf injury. He's going to get a full off season. what is he going to be able to do? Nobody knows. He looked disruptive at times, but like obviously that calf injury was still very lingering.
Right.
Don't know how that's going to look. Then you have BJ Ojolari coming off an ACL tear. Is he going to be able to catapult himself? Because when he played in 2022, he looked good too, but we need production on this defense. Where is it coming from? Is Jalen Thompson going to be on the roster? We don't know. Are they going to restructure his contract? Are they going to cut him, get that $10 million? Or are we just going to rock out with Jalen? I don't know. Like, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered, and edge and defensive line are neck and neck at the biggest positions of need right now. And there's a lot of people available. Maxx Crosby is another one. How do you feel about Maxx Crosby? 27 years old, coming off a 7.5 sack season. Just phenomenal football player. The tape doesn't lie. 7.5 sacks, you can call it what it is. You might not be impressed by the number, but the tape does not lie. One of the most disruptive players in the entire league. I think if you can bring in Myles Garrett or Maxx Crosby, that is a huge culture boost as well. They're going to get things right. They're going to show you this is exactly what we need to do. This is exactly what we need to be. We're going to go in the right direction, and we're going to be a force. It's unfortunate, though, because Maxx Crosby said he hasn't seen this kind of drive from a team and persistence, and he hasn't been this happy today. That sucks. And I don't know what he's seeing. I don't know what they told him. I don't know what quarterback they're going to go out and go get. But, like, you don't have a quarterback right now. Like, the defense is okay. They have pieces, but the offense is terrible.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrible. It is Brock Bowers, and that's about it.
Yeah.
I don't know what the direction is. I don't know what Maxx Crosby's seeing. Maybe that's a deadline move. But do you think Maxx Crosby's still realistic? Or do you think the hiring of Pete Carroll, who's 78 years old, obviously you're not going to rebuild with him and Tom Brady behind the scenes. Do you think it's just too much to overcome for the Cardinals? You don't think that's realistic anymore? Or do you think they're going to pay him and give him the guaranteed money he's looking for?
You know, that's a fascinating question because I remember last time we spoke to each other, it might have been sometime last week, and I don't know if it was your channel or my channel. I think we both agree that the person that's probably most likely going to get moved off from their specific team was Maxx Crosby. Now that's not the case anymore. Now that's Myles Garrett, like most likely going to be. Obviously, he requested a trade.
Oh yeah.
But like, I don't know, man. Something about what the Raiders are building, but you're right. There's so much unknown over there. They probably are going to go after big splash moves. I mean, with Tom Brady, I mean, you probably just speak to Tom Brady, you get hyped up, right? So I don't know. Maybe he got in his ear. Maybe he's like, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to run it. I don't know. I look at Maxx Crosby and I would love for him to be an Arizona Cardinal. I look at Myles Garrett and I would love for him to be an Arizona Cardinal as well. It's just, I don't know if I really see it happening anymore with Crosby leaving the Raiders. So, you know, he's younger by a couple years than Myles Garrett is. And of course, I think anybody would be licking their chops, potentially putting him on our defensive line because Nick Rallis and Jonathan Gannon, the defensive-minded head coach, like they've done wonders with this defense with no big-time names on there. So they're probably looking at the chops for any of these guys for potentially coming on this roster. I don't know if I see Maxx Crosby leaving, especially with, like you said earlier, with the high glowing remarks about the Raiders organization, right? And what they could potentially do. They got money. They're sitting in the top 10. What are they, the 6 or 7 right now in the draft? They potentially could trade up if they wanted to. I don't know, man. There's so many different things that could happen here with the Raiders. And I don't know. I just don't see Maxx Crosby as an option anymore for not just for the Cardinals, but for the NFL. It almost kind of seems like he's bought back in. Don't know what they did. I don't know what they did, but it seems like he's bought back into the Raiders, which is unfortunate.
There's got to either be a discussion with guaranteed money, which he's seeking, because it's kind of like Budda Baker when he requested the trade and he wanted out, and he said like, "Hey, I didn't get paid. I want out. I'm requesting a trade," and then we paid him, and it was just hush money from there. You know, he was happy. He didn't want to leave. Maybe Maxx Crosby's in a similar situation. He wants to remain loyal, doesn't have that guaranteed money, but he's like, "Hey, I don't see a direction here," which absolutely true. I don't see a direction with the Browns either. I mean, Deshaun Watson tore his Achilles. They traded for that contract. Nick Chubb is 30. They're probably not going to pay him. So, like, I don't know. Nick Chubb is not the same football player. He came off a massive injury, just snapped his leg in half. Like, I don't know what the direction of Cleveland is right now. They don't have a quarterback either. They have no direction. Like, the whole team is falling. You have to rebuild. You have to retool. It'd be stupid not to trade the 29-year-old. The Raiders are in a little bit different of a situation because they don't have a lot of money tied into a quarterback. They don't have $200+ million assigned to a guy who's not even playing right now. So they can go out and potentially sign somebody. Maybe it's like a Russell Wilson. You know, maybe Pittsburgh rocks with Justin Fields and they go get Russell Wilson, try to be competitive. Wouldn't be a terrible move. Or maybe they're like, hey, we're going to try to trade up. We're going to be aggressive. We're going to try to go get a young guy. I don't know who that young guy is going to be because I think Cam Ward and Sanders will be gone in the top 3. I think Ward is going Tennessee and then Sanders is going to the Giants. I don't know who's available. It's very weird. They must have had discussions about an extension or like, hey, we're going to guarantee some of your money right now and make sure you're chilling for these next couple years before we negotiate.
The fascinating thing about this draft class with the whole quarterback situation, and I guess we can only really use last year's. I don't think anybody really coveted Nick. What's his frick?
Bo
What?
Nix.
Bo Nix. Thank you, Bo Nix. Or I know everybody was talking about JJ McCarthy being top 10 as well, but like you can get a quarterback, and I'm not saying a superstar like Cam Moore, because Cam Moore is probably the best quarterback in this entire draft class, and then Shador Sanders being the number 2. Some might actually say, Jackson Dart. Some might say, whatever the situation might be, maybe there's
I
a
would flip
quarterback.
it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe
I
there's
would have
another
Sanders
quarterback
one.
maybe there's another quarterback out there that they potentially want. Maybe not use that 6th round, that 6th overall, but maybe using the 2nd round pick on a quarterback, whether it's Milrow. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of him, but let's all not forget that Lamar Jackson. Although Lamar Jackson was way better than Milrow was in
Oh
college,
yeah.
but his stigma was, oh, we want to make you a wide receiver, right? We want to do this. That's why he fell to the end of the draft, because he was just like, no, I ain't gonna do that. I'm gonna be quarterback. Maybe somehow there's a coaching staff that can unlock what he can do. I don't know, man. So the Raiders got something under their sleeves. What it is, I have no freaking clue. But I don't know, man. We'll see. But I do agree with you. Top 3 is going to be those 2 quarterbacks, unless they have any. If they want to get one of those 2 guys, they got to trade up. They have to trade up. And I don't see Tennessee moving off. They have a lot of unknowns with Levis, and then of course the Giants are looking for their quarterback as well.
Yeah, both teams are desperate right now. The Giants, I would say, are more desperate than Tennessee is, but they're both like in desperation.
True.
Like right now, they need somebody. They need somebody to actually come in here. So I think we can both agree that Myles Garrett is the most realistic right now,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
because of the public trade announcement.
Yeah, absolutely. And also too, it's not even ruling out the Cleveland Browns too. I mean, I get that Deshaun Watson restructured his contract and stuff like that, but man, there's just so much unknown with him. That seemed to be one of the worst freaking contracts in NFL history. But with how it's actually laid out, it's atrocious how bad he's played. And I get it, it's not his fault that he got injured, but he was pretty bad before that as well. So do they go after a quarterback, or do they go after the safe bet and get Carter, right? We're the best edge rusher that they probably should get, but you don't know, man. You can't rule them out either. Potentially going after a quarterback.
So many unknowns. I don't know how it's going to play out, but the Cardinals, you got to make a move. Monty, please just do the right thing. Like, I trust Monty Ossenfort. That's the thing. I'm not sitting here with Steve Keim where I have uncertainty, and it's kind of a nice position to be in. I know Patrick Peterson hopped on, I think it was like Phoenix Sports, I believe is what it was, at like the Super Bowl thing. And he hopped on, he was talking about Steve Keim, and he's like, hey, I got no beef with y'all. I got no beef with Arizona. I got beef with that fat white dude who looks like Thanos. That's the problem.
Did you say he
And
looks
he's
like
gone.
Thanos?
No,
Oh,
that's just
I
me
was like,
talking.
that'd be so G.
That's just me talking. But
Yeah,
Pat
he
P,
does look like
obviously,
Thanos.
like, there's a lot of people who had problems with Steve Keim in this organization. Just a lot of misorderly conduct, mistreating players, just a lot of BS by Steve Keim. And then the whole Michael Floyd situation with the DUI. And then Steve Keim gets a DUI and he's texting on a burner. Like, it's just so much stuff going on. I'm happy with where we're at. I like Monty Ossenfort. I think he's a great culture builder, and he has his mind on right. He's brought some good pieces in. Whatever he does, I'm confident that he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And maybe it doesn't fit the timeline, and we'll just eat that, and we'll just see what he does. But free agency, we got to spend some money. I'm optimistic. I'm looking forward to it. Mike, appreciate you hopping on the channel today. Let them know where they can find you at.
Find me anywhere, the AZ Sports Fan, Instagram, X/Twitter, and then YouTube is probably going to be the best way. And that's where the main podcast lives, on YouTube.
Let's get it. Go ahead and check him out. Also, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. We are on the road to 8,000 subscribers. Appreciate you hopping on. It has been your boy, Mythic and Mike. Peace out.
Later.